Welcome to Credit Union Chatt Box, the official podcast of Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union. My name is Michael Crosa, and I'm here to learn more about personal finance and what makes this credit union special. In each episode, we'll chat with experts, members, and staff about money topics that matter most to you. Now, this is a judgment-free zone, so don't be shy about asking questions. Learning more about money is how we get ahead. All right, now let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the Credit Union Chatt Box podcast. My name is Michael Crosa and I'm here with Terri Stansell, president of Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union, and Carol Carter, one of her wonderful staff members. How are y'all today?
Great. How are you, Michael?
Doing well.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you here too.
Yeah. Well, and I really like your location. I really like how it's just kind of like a warm and inviting place. And, you know, anytime you walk in, somebody says hi, and that's cool. So it's good to be here.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
We really like where we are, where we're located. Great parking. Just a great area. I'm here on South Broad Street.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's talk about that real quick. So South Broad Street, how can people find you, whether in person or?
Well, we're located at 3120 Broad Street, foot of Lookout Mountain. Very convenient for people that live in North Georgia, people that work downtown.
I actually live in North Georgia, and I didn't even realize that I could get here by going around, which I did. I didn't even have to go through town. Well, cool. Well, okay, so I didn't realize, Terri, we've known each other for about almost a year now. I didn't really realize until we met that a credit union isn't really a bank.
That's correct.
Yeah, can you kind of talk about that? And help me understand kind of the differences there.
Well, credit unions are nonprofit and they serve a specific group or area of people. So one type of credit union is called a SEG, separate employee group, and they serve a certain company or companies. So they're not open to the public. There are also community charter credit unions, and that is what we are now. We are open to anyone that lives or works, worships, attends school, or conducts business on a regular basis in Hamilton County.
Gotcha.
So a lot of people in North Georgia, North Alabama, they do conduct business on a regular basis in Chattanooga. They are eligible for membership.
And that's opposed to like a bank, who I guess is kind of anybody, right?
Yes. And
Gotcha.
Banks are for profit. They have customers, where a credit union, you are a member. So by being a member, you are one of the owners and you have a say in the decisions for that credit union. The members elect the board of directors, and the board of directors are volunteers. Where at a bank, the board of directors are usually the largest stockholders. So also at a bank, being a customer, you don't have a say in how your bank is operated or the rates. Credit union, by being nonprofit, all the profits do go back to the members in the form of lower rates on loans, higher rates on deposits. So that is very beneficial to people.
That's cool, yeah. Okay, so you mentioned the special employee group. What was it called?
A separate employee group.
Okay, and you told me the story of, I think it was Tennessee Pipe, right? Or what was the name of the?
We were formerly U.S. Pipe.
U.S. Pipe.
U.S. Pipe Credit Union, which we served U.S. Pipe and Foundry.
Gotcha.
That was here in Chattanooga. And there was a couple of other groups, like Mueller Company, Pilgrim's Pride, Velsico Chemical. Those were the companies. You had to either work there or be an immediate family member of someone who worked at one of these places in order to be eligible to join. So when U.S. Pipe and Foundry shut down around 2008, this credit union decided to change our charter to reinvent ourselves, and that's when we applied for a community charter.
Got it. So I'm picturing that at these factories, there are all these people working there and working hard, and everybody needed somebody needed to buy a car, and so rather than going to a bank, they kind of just did this themselves, right?
Correct. So at U.S. Pipe and Foundry, the U.S. Pipe Credit Union was started in 1961. It was started out of a shoebox.
Wow.
They carried around a shoebox at the plant, and this is where the employees could apply for maybe a $200 loan.
Yeah.
Currently now, our minimum unsecured loan is $1,000, And that could be for someone, let's say they need a new set of tires.
Yeah.
Well, if they went to a bank, most banks, the minimum unsecured loan is $5,000. But they don't need $5,000. They just need $1,000 for a set of tires.
Yeah.
And that's how credit unions were formed in the early 1900s to help people with their personal basic needs.
Yeah.
Purchasing a car, buying a home. It was not meant for business purposes, business loans. So Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union, we do not offer the business loans. We have great people that we can refer them to, but we are the true credit union serving people for their basic needs.
I like that. So it's really more like individual and community oriented and
Yes.
that sort of thing. Nice. Cool.
If anybody's ever watched the Christmas movie, no, It's a Wonderful Life. It's all about the credit union. That's the basics. That's where he works, and he's dealing with the community
right.
and So that and that's they bought their houses, they bought their cars, they financed furniture.
Credit union serving people. Yeah.
Nice. And so then, okay, so that's credit union and bank. And what about like a finance company?
So most finance companies are licensed in another state that allows exuberant interest rates.
Gotcha.
So state of Tennessee, our cap on interest rates is 18%. There are other states that allow, 39%.
Wow.
So you may go to a finance company here in Tennessee, and yet you're charged, 28% interest on a loan.
Yeah.
And usually that is, they are targeting people with low credit scores. So those are ones that are paying more than interest. And those are the people that we hope will come in to Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union, give us an opportunity to help them increase their credit score.
Well, that makes sense then. If I'm somebody with a lower credit score, I might be limited in my options. But if a finance company is going to be charging these higher interest rates and they're looking for profit, whereas I know that like Chattanooga First is a nonprofit and they're there to help me out, that's
correct.
A much more attractive option then.
And we have some counseling options, and we have some tools to help them raise that credit score, get their credit organized without falling into deeper debt.
Yeah. Do you have any stories of people that you've worked with that you just feel like, yes, this is what being a credit union is all about?
Yes, I don't want to give his name.
Of course.
He, we have a member who it took about a year to help him with his credit and get that credit score up. And since then, we have financed 3 cars, several homes for him.
Cool.
And he is very appreciative. He said he couldn't, be where he is today without us.
Nice.
But sometimes we can help them. Like you were telling me the story a couple of weeks ago about someone who couldn't qualify for their mortgage, but they had 2 vehicles, I believe. And we were able to take those 2 vehicles that had 2 different payments that were causing them to be in a situation that they couldn't qualify for the mortgage, put it into one loan with the vehicle still securing that loan, probably lower the interest rate and get it down to 1 payment. And then they could magically qualify for the mortgage loan that they were trying to get.
Nice.
Yes, we had consolidated some of their some credit cards too. They had lots of equity in their vehicles.
That's cool.
Which is unusual for most people, but
sure.
It can happen.
Yeah. Well, and I know a lot of people, and I think I'm this way too, of like thinking about when people talk about loans and finances and stuff, like all of a sudden my eyes glass over, like it's all over my head. But what I'm hearing is that like if I'm ever in hot water or anything like that, that this is a place where I can go and get some help and some like honest feedback and, real support on that.
Terri makes it easy because you hear thinking outside the box. I mean, she's still within her box, but she's still thinking a little bit outside the box where somebody else might not, based on her experience.
Yeah.
She really is good about that, because I know I've talked to her about things, not necessarily meaning to get advice, and suddenly she's saying, well, did you think about, and again, it's her experience with this industry as well as the banking industry and mortgage industry, and she just has a broad view that you might not get from someone else.
Nice.
Carol said one time, Boy, you all know more ways to skin a cat around here.
That's funny. That's good to know. Because, also, people like me, I think I assume that there is only one way that a loan exists, or, you know what I mean? And so that's good to know that there are a lot of different pathways.
Excuse me for breaking in. I didn't mean to do that. But you don't think about that financing can be creative, but and still legal.
Right.
But if you've been in it long enough and you know how to look at it, it can be creative.
Yeah. Well, like I've had someone come in, they want to apply for a boat loan, ATV, where those loans have a higher interest rate because those are more of a risk to us, the financial institutions. And I see that they've got this car loan that's maybe down to $1,000. And I said, I will ask them, okay, what's the year, make, and model of this car? And they might have $25,000 equity in that vehicle. And I'm like, but you're wanting to buy this $20,000 boat that's going to be at this rate, but let's refinance that car and you'll have a lower rate and a lower payment. And they're like, oh, that's great.
So what does that mean? What is a refinance?
Well, let's say they owe someone else, or even if they owe us, let's say $1,000 on that car. And so we just refinance that. If they need $15,000, we'll add the $15,000 onto the $1,000 existing balance, and now they have a new loan of $16,000 using that same collateral.
Interesting. So it's like, let me just say that back, make sure I understand. So if I've got a car, it's almost paid off, I've got $1,000 left to go on the payment, but I need, like you said, $15,000 for something else, then it's almost like we redo the car loan so that now I owe $16,000 on the car again, but I've got this other money in hand that I can go do what I needed to do.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Where you saw refinancing a lot, and people can probably understand it better, is when the interest rates were dropping and people were suddenly going and refinancing their mortgages to take advantage of those lower interest rates.
Gotcha.
In this instance, we may not always be taking advantage of the lower interest rate, but we're taking advantage of the fact that the collateral we do have still has equity.
Yeah.
And we're using that to continue to refinance and let them do with their money as they please.
Gotcha.
I think the biggest refinancing that I saw with a vehicle, or that I still see, is in the summer months when someone's heat and air unit goes out.
Yeah.
And they call, I need $8,000 to $10,000. So an unsecured loan the interest rate's almost double of what it would be on a vehicle. So I immediately ask them, what vehicles do you have? Do you owe on them? And we'll do it that way.
When you say an unsecured loan versus like collateral, is that, so if my car is collateral on a loan, you repossess the car?
Correct.
And
we have that right if you default on your
right. So if it's legalese. But then like if it is for my air conditioning unit, it's kind of harder to come repossess an air conditioning unit.
We won't. Again, if you come to us, say I need $10,000 for an air conditioning unit, and no, I just want to do it as an unsecured loan, I don't want to give you my car as collateral, then no, we cannot come and take your heat and air unit.
Gotcha.
Now you could, if someone needs a heat and air unit, they can finance it possibly with the company that's selling the heat and air unit. Now they will be able to come get your heat and air unit.
They know how to do it. They have all the tools.
Right.
Yeah, got it. But I guess that word unsecured, what is the secure? What is being secured? That's the thing.
Right. And unsecured means there is not any collateral.
Right.
Gotcha.
It's just their
name is the collateral. That's
their
it.
word.
Yeah.
Their word.
Okay.
Their name. Yeah.
So I see what you mean about the risk. That's higher risk then.
And which is why they charge higher interest rate.
Yeah. And probably even higher interest rates if we are going to those banks or finance companies on that kind of thing. Yeah. So if you're talking to somebody and they're not sure where they need to go for their particular thing, what are some of those things that you're like, oh, you need to go to a credit union? Like, is it car loans? Is it this and that? You mentioned not business.
Car loans, boat loans, personal loans.
Are there things that you would say are better to go to a bank?
A business loan, definitely.
Gotcha. But if somebody's listening and they're like trying to get their car sorted out, they're trying to do that kind of thing, their mortgage sorted out.
Yes, credit unions for sure.
Well,
Now,
and if you want more personal service, not that some of the bigger banks can't give you personal service, sometimes they can. But if you truly want somebody that you can either call on the phone or walk into the credit union, and other than when COVID is in effect, and have a face-to-face meeting with somebody, a credit union's going to be much better. If you want that personal touch.
Yeah.
And between you and me, if I have a problem with my home mortgage, I want to be able, I don't want to be at Wells Fargo where I have no clue who I need to start with. I want to be able to walk in here and talk to Terri or Susan or Megan, and let's figure out what's wrong or what I need to do rather than spend days trying to get to the right person. And I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but you call a business and you get one person, they give you one answer, and you're not satisfied with that answer, but a couple hours or maybe a day later, you call again, you get another person, and they give you a different answer.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, great. Then you call a third, and you get yet a different answer. Here, that shouldn't happen because we're all here. If any one of us have a question about how something works, we ought to be able to get in touch with the right person or direct you to the right person to get the right answer.
Right.
Because I'm not always going to know.
but I do want to say and ask people to please give a credit union a chance, preferably Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union.
Of course.
And see the difference.
Yeah.
Come and talk to us and meet us and just see the difference.
Yeah.
What we have
I love
to
that.
offer.
I love that mission of community support and really helping people, and I like that a lot. So cool. So Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union, the website again.
www.chattanooga. Where's your business card?
Chatfirst.org.
Yes.
Chatfirst.org. Great.
Neither one of us can give you the right. Here, I'm going to go get my card. We don't write us.
Right. That's all for this episode of Credit Union Chat Box. To learn more, contact the fine folks at Chattanooga First Federal Credit Union at chatfirst.org, linked in the show notes below. That's chat with 2 T's, chatfirst.org. This show is produced by Chattanooga Podcast Studios and is a member of the Podnooga Network. If you have any questions or topics for us to cover on the show, please send us an email at podnooga@gmail.com. Now, keep in mind, this show is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Laws and policies change often, so always check with an expert before making decisions based on what you hear in our show. We'll be back soon with more personal finance insights on the next episode of Credit Union Chat Box.